Phyllis Robinson. She was a woman who knew a thing or two about uncertain times. Born in the 1920s in New York, she was a teenager in the Great Depression, and during World War II, she worked as a statistician for the US government. It was a tumultuous era, to say the least. But all of this was just preparation for what Phyllis Robinson was really going to do with her life. Because in 1949, she became the only woman founding partner of the newly minted, much talked about, Hot Shop of Madison Avenue, Doyle Dane Bernbach. Phyllis joined as copy chief, the first woman in any agency to hold that position. And alongside her partner, Bob Gage, she created some of the most famous advertising campaigns of the era. She wrote the line, "You don't have to be Jewish," to like Levy's Real Jewish Rye. She built a creative department that would be considered diverse even by today's standards. And when she had her daughter Nancy in 1962, she quit full-time work, but she continued to consult with the agency 3 days a week, which even makes her a pioneer in flexible working. And then, 70 years after Phyllis started at DDB and 10 years after her death, the Phyllis Project was created, a program for senior women in the DDB network. I was lucky enough to be asked to join. I often think about Phyllis. What would she have thought about the way we work and the world we work in today? Would she like the digital revolution? What would she say about influencers, purpose-driven work? Would she keep her camera turned on or off during Teams calls? Would she snigger the first time someone asked her to write a blipvert? And then, a few weeks ago, as I was contemplating what to write in this speech, actually, I'll be totally honest, I was just procrastinating, until I was sent a copy of a speech that Phyllis gave to the American Association of Advertising Agencies in 1959. So convenient, thank you, Phyllis. I was struck by her words, and even more so her advice. It was exactly what I needed to hear. And in a year that's left us questioning our work, our purpose, even ourselves, I think it might be exactly what you need to hear too. So I'm going to share some of Phyllis's speech today. How do we do it? That's the question we've been asked again and again about Doyle Dane Bernbach. And I understand there's some curiosity around here about how we work. It's a very flattering question, and I'm just going to plunge right in, bathe in the flattery, and tell you all about it. She did have a way with words, huh? How do we do it? Well, it started with a man, an unusual man with an unusual idea. The unusual man was Bill Bernbach, and the unusual idea was this: do ads that are different. An advertising idea must interrupt, startle, and even shock the reader because of the fierce competition it has for his attention. I'll forgive her use of the male pronoun here because, well, 1959. Where were we? Because of the fierce competition it has for his attention, not only from other advertisers, but from the news of the day and the reader's own personal preoccupations. When Phyllis said that there was competition for attention, she could not have dreamed of today's powerful cocktail of global crisis mixed with political unrest, stirred with some social media, and then served up with a Fleetwood Mac vibe on TikTok. But that doesn't make her any less right. With even more noise than ever before, the ideas that have broken through this last year are not the ones that add to the noise, but the ones that stand out from it. A moldy Whopper, the unlikely collaboration between KFC and Crocs, and in the most poignant example of standing out from the noise, ITV going silent to support mental health in their Britain Get Talking campaign. These ideas are shocking, startling, and surprising, the sort that Phyllis believed in, because they don't look like anything we've ever seen before, and they don't even look like advertising. In fact, the word advertising is not even good enough to describe these ideas because they push the boundaries of what advertising can even be. But they do work, and they are advertising because they win that competition for people's attention, and they earn their place in people's minds. Phyllis advises us to be different, but that's not where her advice ends. She goes on to explain the powerful collaboration between art directors and writers, the Adam and Eve of modern advertising, and the creative team. And a standard that's, it's now a standard setup, but it was absolutely revolutionary at the time. And about that, she says, "You need creative freedom for these people, room to breathe. You must have an atmosphere in which any idea, no matter how zany, can be proposed. An atmosphere in which any shy man would rather stick his neck out creatively, even if his idea turns out to be unworkable or silly or gets killed, than miss a chance to do something different and untried. Given this freedom, you have to take chances. It's an opportunity to make bold moves. And do you know what happens? In this free atmosphere, people grow. Sometimes they grow from 5 feet tall to 200 feet tall. And I'm not talking about maturity or the ripening of intelligence or the sharpening of critical judgment, that too. But I'm talking about what happens when you remove the fears and the restrictions and the nasty habits of limited thinking. I'm talking about what happens when you let imagination soar. And while Phyllis advocated freedom, she also knew that it comes at a cost. She said, freedom carries with it great responsibility, not only in world affairs, but in making ads too. The responsibility to do the right thing with that freedom. It's not enough to say, I'm free. A good idea isn't just good because it hasn't been done before. It has to do the job that it's supposed to do as effectively as you know how. For Phyllis, this newfound freedom, it came with a tremendous responsibility to make the work the best, the absolute best it could possibly be. And the best part about Phyllis's advice is it tells us exactly what we need to do in uncertain times, but also, frankly, till the end of time. Whatever you're facing, just ask yourself one thing. Could it make the work better? Let's try. We want to move the meeting forward to Thursday because of diary clashes. Could it make the work better? Should we expect our employees to come back to the office full time? Could it make the work better? Do I try for the 3rd time to sell through a line that I know is better, even when the client said no? Just ask yourself, could it make the work better? And you've got your answer. It's the incantation that I will recite to conjure Phyllis in times of trouble. And it's yours now too. Feel free to have a go. She certainly came to my rescue when I had to write this speech. Maybe she'll come help you out of a hard spot too.